Hey everyone, welcome to Ask Me Monday number 39. I'm Vickie Howell, here for a little dose of crafty goodness. Is anybody else having a hard time working during the summer? Is the summer almost over? It's by the chin or the hair of my chinny chin chin that I'm here today. I was, kids and camps and stuff. So here now with you. Super happy to be here with you. First off, right away, thank you so much for everyone that tuned in last week when we had our special Clover sponsored episode and we were doing a tutorial on flower looms. And as I promised, we are going to announce the winners of the flower loom giveaway. So the winners are Adriana Reeves and Caitlin Mall. So Adriana Reeves, Caitlin Mall, please email submissions@vickiehowell.com with your address, and I will have the Clover peeps send you your looms. So I'll try to also tag you. That may or may not work, but congratulations! Thanks to all of you who participated. And now that we're getting a sponsor here and there, I'm going to try and do more giveaways. I'm also starting to do giveaways on the podcast, which is a brand new thing. We're doing our very first one this week. It's just ended now, so I'm not even going to tease it. But as we start to get more people on board, listening and participating and sponsoring, I'll be able to turn that around and give you some really good stuff. So if you don't already subscribe to these videos, all you have to do is go to any of them. If you just go to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Vickie Howell, click on videos and you'll see a whole playlist for Ask Me Monday. Just click on any of them and you should see like a live notifications button come up. Just click on that and then you'll always know when these are happening. Of course, you can watch them anytime, but we're live now. I do them live because I like to be able to interact with you all. It's part of my whole goal to perpetuate community, and hopefully I can answer some questions, which I clearly have forgotten to write down from the boards earlier. So maybe they'll have to all be live. Okay. So what we're going to focus on today, well, how's everyone staying creative during the summer, especially you parents that, have a lot of people to entertain at all times. I'm trying to, the other day, aforementioned difficulty working, I was trying to focus on writing a pattern, and there are some things I can totally work with having, my older boys don't really require anything. They're teenagers, but my daughter, like in and out, sometimes, most of the time it's fine, but if I'm pattern writing, it's a little difficult. So we kind of abandoned ship, realized it just wasn't going to happen, and I jumped on Creative Bug and just took one of their free courses, and it was a drawing course. It was like a painting, like an intuitive mark making course, and it was really just like taking little brushes and seeing what different marks they could make with them, like easy peasy, but it was really fun. And so my daughter and I kind of worked on some, but it was also fun because it kind of like let me sort of still be inspired by knitting and work on the knit stitch. And they're not, it's not like, I'm not becoming a fine artist anytime soon. But what it really did do is it kind of, at first I found myself a little antsy to get back to the yarn. But after a while, I kind of got into a zone, and I realized it's really good to sort of step out of your creative comfort every once in a while, just to sort of open you up, because now I have ideas about social media stuff that I can use these as back papers, but then from paint I'm also thinking about painting on yarn, and it's just kind of a good reminder to us all that even though we find something that we love, sometimes it's good to just sort of step out of that to just see what happens. For me, bottom line, openness equals creativity. So openness to conversation, being open to new creative outlets, being open to people's opinions, being open, hearing it, absorbing what you can, taking it, and running with it. So that's just another way that I'm trying to do that myself. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to be working, I'm going to show you a stitch pattern that I used for my column in Knit Simple for these scarves. Plaid every fall is big. They try to say it's on trend, but there hasn't been many fall seasons that have come where some form of plaid hasn't been a big deal. This season, they're talking a lot about tone-on-tone plaid, which would technically be a little bit more like the white one that I'm wearing and not the red one that my son Tristan's wearing, which is more old school. But this is a really fun way to create plaid, and it's also a great intro to simple color work. We're going to be using mosaic color work, and it's actually a two-step process. The plaid, here I have a little swatch. The plaid is created by doing mosaic color work, but then we create channels, and the vertical line that is the contrast color is added after you're completely done with the scarf. And you do that with a crochet hook, or you could do it with a tapestry needle. Pick your pleasure. And I'm going to show you how to create that. So this pattern is in the current issue of Knit Simple, which is fall 2016. You can also go to vogueknitting.com, and if you go to the shop and look under Knit Simple, you can just buy the pattern on its own if you'd rather that. But honestly, it's more cost effective to get the magazine, because you get, like, the magazine's like $7 and you get what, 20, 30, I don't even know, a ton of patterns. Or you could pay the $4 or whatever it is for the one pattern, but you do you. You do you. All right, so let's get started with plaid making. So I'm going to be flipping around the camera, and then I'll scroll through after I see some of you are asking questions and stuff. And so I'll try and answer that in a second. I did see that somebody asked if I was on TV right now. I am not currently, although I think that they are airing some old Knitting Daily TVs on PBS on the Create channel. But that's all we're doing of that show. We're done with that. But I might have something up my sleeve, especially for my UK viewers, coming up, relatively soon. So just keep your eyes open. And I'm always working on different ways that I can bring you programming. So thank you for sticking with me even on these like humble live phone videos. I totally appreciate it. All right, I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to talk mosaic stitching. All right. This is that part. This is my least favorite part of this whole production because it's so not well choreographed, but we're going. Ooh, that one was not so bad. Not so bad. All right. So I've worked up another swatch. I was thinking it would look cool to do like this mustardy gold is one of the on-trend colors for fall season. And I always love, oranges and yellows and golds and greens next to grays. So I've got a charcoal and a kind of a light heathered gray here. So I've started a little bit. This particular pattern is only a matter of a few rows. So when you're working in mosaic slip stitch, the thing to note is that you're never working with more than one color at a time. So a lot of times color work is a little bit intimidating for some people, but mostly that's because you think that you always have to work with two needles and holding strands and carrying. So this is a great way to sort of dip your toe into color work because you're never working with more than one at a time. So you'll notice here, like I said, that the third color for the plaid is not here. And that's because we're adding it later. But what we're doing, and I'll show you how to do this in a second, and it's a little bit hard to see, is we're creating a channel. Can you see? It's like a purl stitch channel right here, which will be a wee little bed for that vertical line to nestle in. And later we'll be adding that. Okay, so this particular pattern breaks it up with lines of garter stitch. So your main color, which for me is this light gray, you're going to work 2 rows in garter stitch. And I've already done that because it's just knit stitch and it'd probably be boring for you guys to watch. I just realized that one of these stitches doesn't work, so let me fix that really quickly. Okay, so from here, we're going to slip the first stitch purlwise. So that means you insert your needle in through the front loop purlwise and just slide it over. Then you're going to be joining or picking up. I was working already, so picking up, but if you were just joining the yarn, you would just drape it over the needle. You're going to join your B, and you are going to work 1 purl stitch. That's your channel stitch. That's going to be where we're going to work the chain stitch later. And then you're going to knit 2. And then with the yarn in back, so that the strand stays back here, you're going to slip this next stitch in your main color, purlwise over. So you leave that one unworked. And this is how you're only working with one color at a time, but still creating a 2-color color work, because the slip stitches don't get worked, so they stay hanging free in the color that they were last worked. Okay, so then we're going to go back to our purl 1, knit 2. We can see that we're over to this bar where I've been slipping, so that means that we need to slip it again. And then we go back to our purl 1. The purl 1 is always going to be, hi Rhonda, I see you're watching. Good to see you. Rhonda from Makers Mercantile's on. Chris, always good to see you. Michaela, yes, I did redo, well, I didn't redo my office. What I did was I got bored and I just added wallpaper. It's pretty lowbrow, to be honest with you. In the background, I'm going through this thing where I want to redo, and I'm thinking about doing like a faux brick as a loft, or maybe I'll do shelving. I just am not sure what I want to do. So right now, I just threw up some wallpaper. Some wrapping paper and called it a day. See, I got talking and then I messed up. Okay, purl 1, knit 2. So you're doing that all the way to the end until you get to your last stitch, and then you're going to slip that again. And that's so that you have this nice little bookend on either side of that first color. Okay, so then on the back side, all you really need to remember is that on the second row, when you're working in mosaic work, all color work is done in 2-row periods. So all you need to remember is that you're going to slip all slip stitches and work all other stitches the way that the stitches read. What does that mean, you ask? Well, I will tell you. All right, so we're going to slip that first stitch, but this time we need to make sure that the yarn is in front, not in back. And that is so that you're not seeing the carries on the front of your work, because this is now the back or the non-public direction, right? So I slip that purlwise still. Now I can tell that I need to purl these stitches because they have the little turtleneck, right? So that means that they were knit on the opposite side, but so on this row they need to be purled because you're working the back of the stitch, right? So the back of a knit stitch looks like a purl, and the front of a purl stitch looks like a knit. Okay, so I'm going to purl 2, and then our channel stitch on this side is actually knit, so I want to knit. But this is where it's important. We're going to slip the stitch. Be sure that you move that yarn back to the front before you slip. If you don't do that, if you accidentally slip it with it back there, and then you have to move over to purl for that next stitch, what will happen is you'll see that float of the opposite color, and that totally ruins your vibe, man. See how that broke that up? So you just want to make sure that when you're slipping stitches on the wrong side, that you take that step to move the yarn in front, and then keep going. Jamie wants to know what yarn I'm working with. That's a great question. I think it's Plymouth Galway. I just grabbed whatever I had. Chunky, maybe Plymouth Galway Chunky. Let's go with that. I'm not sure. Okay, so I'm slipping, purl, purl. Hello, Jennifer. Good to see you here. And you do that all the way across. Knit, move that yarn in front, slip the stitch, purl, purl, knit. Okay, so we're back at our last stitch. We want to slip that again. So, and make sure we move our yarn in front and slip it. Look how crazy big that is. That we just need to tug on that. That's again so that you have the bookend. So the next 2 rows would just be those 2 rows of garter stitch again, so knitting both rows, and you just let your other color, your contrasting color, just hang that whole time. The reason being, you really can't carry slip stitches further than 2 rows without it distorting your fabric, because you're not getting that extra fabric from working the stitch. You can see how these look elongated. It's because they're being pulled, right? And so if they had to go further than 2 stitch without being broken up by knit stitches, you would start to get some distortion. And that's something that you could totally play with if you were working on manipulating fabric, but for the purposes of this plaid, it just is kind of a no-go. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to talk stripes, or the other way, the vertical stripes. All right, so I went ahead, what did I do with that other piece of yarn? I have no idea. Okay, so I have 3 of these rows done already, and you can see I pulled out the one for this where you can see the channel. And I had a piece of yarn here, which I no longer have. So I'm going to have you hang tight for 1 second. Actually, let me just... Nope, this yarn is too tough. Hold on 1 second. Let me grab something. Ah, my dress is caught on my... Nothing like live video. All right, and we're back. This cord's looking ugly too. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to, there's two choices. If you have a crochet hook around, you should grab that. And really, it doesn't matter. The size doesn't really matter. I mean, it does. You don't want to use like a teeny tiny hook, but you don't have to worry about being exactly on crochet gauge or anything, because we're only doing a chain stitch. But so you want it around there. So what you're going to do is you're going to take another piece of yarn, and you're just going to have to like suspend disbelief and pretend that this is the same yarn, because I don't know where that other piece went. It flew off somewhere. You want to tie a slip knot. You want to insert your hook at the bottom of the channel, flip over the fabric, and you're going to just place that slip knot on. You pull that through. And what I do, and this is not an exact science, really you can go wherever you want, but just make sure it's consistent, is I skip probably, I'm going to say 2 rows. So 1, 2, and then I insert the hook, I wrap the yarn around, and I pull it through. So now you'll have 2 loops on. So now you're established. That's the hardest part of the whole thing, is just establishing it. And then you're going to pull that stitch, that second loop, through the first one, and you've created your first chain stitch. I'll do another one, and it'll be easier to see after I've got another. So I'm going to insert through the hole, wrap around, pull through that other loop. Insert, pull through. Can you all see this? Is this making sense? Pull through. And you can see, again, suspending disbelief because these are different yarns and a little bit different weight. You can see how it's slowly creating that same look of the elongated slip stitch. It's a little bit easier to see here. It looks very much like our slip stitch over there, right? So insert, pull that loop through, slide it through. And that's really all there is. Now, you will have to block. Okay, are we back? I think we're back. All right, sorry about that. You know, we're at the mercy of connection. It's saying connections weak. Hopefully you guys are able to see it. I kind of just chose to bow out of doing the duplicate stitch, but I can look through all of the videos, my Ask Me Mondays before, because I did do a whole episode on that. You're basically just using an embroidery needle. But honestly, the crochet hook is way faster. So yeah, super fun and really easy. And I love that you can get this plaid work, learn a new skill, and get kind of like a cool, relatively on-trend piece. So that is that, my friends. All right, I'm going to, again, I don't see the time running or anything, so I'm not even entirely sure we're still on. So because of that, I'm going to just try scrolling and answering some questions. And if I get responses, that means you're still there. Okay. Somebody asked, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody asked where I get my inspiration. That's kind of what I was speaking to earlier. Just everywhere. I watch fashion. I watch pop culture. A lot of movies. A lot of shows. Oh my gosh, are you guys watching Stranger Things on Netflix? It's so good. It's so good, and it's just you know, reminds me of all of my favorite shows from the 80s. Anyways, there's a lot of crochet pieces in that in the background of one of the houses of one of the main characters. So that totally makes it on topic for the show, right? I posted one of Winona Ryder wrapped in a blanket, but there's a ton of like crochet blankets and stuff. So that's always fun. All right, so I don't see any other questions. Oh, Chris, you wanted to know if you needed to dry clean wool so it wouldn't felt if you needed to clean it. No, I don't think you need to do that. You could. I think that different yarn, I would really talk to your dry cleaner before they did it though, to see if they have a special treatment for wool. But what I suggest doing, really how wool felts is with high temperatures and also the agitating. So if you're just really careful to gently wash in like a lukewarm, like you don't need to go, and with some really, there's a bunch of really nice, there's like soak soap, I think there's Eucerin, there's a bunch of soaps that are very gentle. You can also use baby shampoo, something really gentle, and just try not to manipulate the fabric a lot. Just gently sort of like squeeze or roll, but don't rub at all. And then you should be okay. Rinse it really cleanly, and then when you're drying it, lay it on a towel and roll it in the towel and kind of give it a squeeze to get most of the moisture. Unroll it and then reblock it out so that it's exactly how back to its shape. So that should be good enough. That's a little laborious if you're working with like a larger blanket or whatever. So, you know, that's usually a superwash wool is better for a blanket or something washable in general. But it's absolutely doable, and if wool is your vibe, you should go with it, and you can absolutely do that. And just make sure you have a large place to lay it out flat. All right, are there any other questions before we wrap this up? I also wanted to remind you that we have a new episode of Craftish, the podcast, coming up tomorrow. If you have not subscribed to that on iTunes or Stitcher or SoundCloud, I would love if you would do that. It's totally my passion project, getting to be able to have these amazing conversations with creative people from all walks of life. I truly believe that, you know, we are creative beings and we can share with each other and inspire each other, and we should do so. So I try to put some of that positivity out there through that podcast. So go ahead and subscribe and tune in tomorrow evening. We've got this really cool designer from the Netherlands. She's an illustrator. She's got a great book out called Your Sharpie Style, where I believe we're also going to be giving away a copy through that. So make sure you tune in. If you didn't listen to last week's with Kathy Fillion, she's the spokesperson and inventor behind a bunch of Mod Podge related products. You definitely should. She also shared her story about her foster to adoption experience with her two beautiful girls. And she's just a great person. So check that out. You can do it through VickieHowell.com, click on podcast, or you can go to any of the other places I told you about. And I so appreciate you leaving comments, both about this feed and also about Craftish. I may not get to everyone, but I do read everyone, and I really appreciate it. You can go back and binge watch if you want. All of these, this is number 39, so there's been quite a few of these videos to watch techniques and to hear people's questions and that kind of thing. And then tune in next Monday and we'll have another one. So I think that's all. I think that's all there is today. If you're interested in knitting that scarf, please go out and nab yourself a copy of Knit Simple. And you can use this yarn that I used was a t-shirt yarn, but you can use any chunky yarn. And this is a great project to get started on for gifts, because even though it's a scarf, it's a really chunky wool, so it works up fast. So I hope that you are as mad for plaid as I am, and thank you for starting your week off with me again. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I will see you next week. Bye.